Good evening, everybody. It's me, Comic Crack. It's Friday fucking night. Ow! Make sure the audio has chosen the right one. Yes, it did. It's Friday night. Doing a stream tonight. No chat on Sunday. No Sunday night stream. It's going to be a little bit of a busier weekend. So I wanted to kind of chat about some books tonight. Before we get into that, though, I wanted to share one thing with you. Last weekend, we looked at, let me see if I have it handy here. As a matter of fact, I do. Last weekend, we looked at this one, The Adventures of Bok. Miss So, hello. From Invasion Comics. Let's share screen here. Check this shit out. Invasion Comics Press on Instagram. Comic Company, James Pustorino, Thomas Perry, Paul Martin, Invasion Comics Press Publications, and New Comic Works by James Pustorino and friends at www.universechild.art. Invasion Comics is back working together. Watch here for upcoming news. Here's a restored panel from Adventures of Bok number 3. They are going to be releasing a collection of the Adventures of Bok, or BOC. Which post had the announcement? One of these posts, I don't remember which one. There wasn't an announcement. Here's a sample of some new art, though, from Existential Comic Broadsheet number 1. So fantastic news. I found this out. How the hell did I find this out? I don't remember how I found it out, but yeah, I don't know where I saw the posting. One of these posts had that they were doing a collection of all of those comics and doing some new works. I found this posting. I started a new Instagram page, Visions from the Long Box. You can see right there on your screen. There's a few Instagram people that I follow that post independent comics, stuff that they've found, stuff well off the beaten path. So I figured I would start one based on the article I have in Canon there. So just 2 posts right now. Both of them happen to be Canadian. I kind of want to stick to see how many Canadian books I can do before I start posting some of the other stuff that I have in the collection. So I've only posted those 2. I wanted to try to do something daily. That failed on day number 2. I did not manage to post something today. But yeah, so give me a follow there if you want to check that stuff out. And of course, give Invasion Comics Press a follow. So when they release this work, you can jump on it. Fantastic news. Very, very exciting to see that. Stop sharing there. Donald Rex, hello. How are you, man? What else did I have to share with you before we jump into the comics? I think that might have been it. I feel like there was one other thing, but I don't remember what that was. I'll put that here. I've got a short box sitting here that's filled with most of the stuff I've read this year so far. It doesn't have everything. A little book update. I'm up to book number 401 posted, written down this evening here. So getting closer to the 500 goal for the year. Still keeping up with the book. It's really been a lot of fun to do that side of it. Not nearly as much read this year so far as I did last year. I think I was at 500 within the first 6 months of the comic goal. So let's just get right into the stuff that I've read. A couple of quick ones first. Finally gave this Here's the Thing by Jacob Yeats. Gave this one a read. This is one that I got at Insert Name Zine Fest when I went to Minneapolis. I love the art. I don't know if I could make heads or tails out of the writing, to be honest. I found some of it a little difficult to read, so that made it hard to follow. But I really, really enjoy this art style quite a bit here. A very, very short zine. I don't know if Jacob has a website. There's no information in here, but you can check out his name maybe on social media, on Instagram or something. Yeates. Great stuff. Really just out there. There was one, I love this one of the dogs there from the movie. If you know the movie, Carpenter's The Thing. Really great. So that was a fun little read. The other one that I read was this here. Nice spread. Risograph printed. This is the Eat Street Diners Club Find a Gun from 2022. This is Will Dinsky, Minneapolis. He lives in Minneapolis. He was also a guy that we saw at the Zine Fest there as well, too, and he did a little illustration and a thank you. These are numbered to 95 copies, so 8 out of 95. This was a really enjoyable little read. I guess I didn't realize kind of how kind of comical it would be. The style should have been a giveaway, but it starts with a pretty heavy topic. Someone comes peeling around a corner, chucks a gun out of the window near a bunch of these kids, and the guy sort of at one point says, "Where are all the adults?" as these kids kind of notice that there's a gun. And he's like, "Oh, no, that's me." So he realizes he has to get in there and go, no, hey, kids, back off. Give me this gun. And it just kind of goes a little sideways from there. Beautiful, clean style on this. I love the color choices. Gives it that real wintry kind of feel. And we just kind of go through his day on what he's going to do with this gun and the police involvement, and his friends get involved. This diners club get involved. So he finally decides to go and throw it in the lake, realizes maybe that's not far enough, fishes it out again. And I love these panels here. Can't move as he starts to freeze. Must eat banana pepper from my pocket, which starts to thaw him out. So nice storytelling here. Nice kind of, you get this kind of movement throughout a panel there. Beautifully done. And it just kind of goes on from there. I will give a spoiler to this. So it turns out the gun isn't real. It was this group of artists who were making a film and chucked the gun out of a window because they wanted their cinema verite, their realism. Funny, not so funny story. That actually happened here in town. People shooting a movie with guys with guns and covered in blood who had robbed a bank. They were incredibly smart and didn't alert the city. So they found themselves surrounded at one point by a bunch of cops with guns drawn. Go and get on the fucking ground. No. We're shooting a movie. Real idiots. That kind of thing really makes it hard for the legitimate film work to be going on in the town when these people are doing stupid shit like that. Business card in the back. This was really great. I'm not familiar with him as an artist or a creator. I know Colin had read some of his stuff before. So I just kind of jumped on the bandwagon with Colin and saw he was getting it, and I figured I should grab myself a copy too. Really, really glad that I did, though. That was fantastic. I'll be looking for more for sure. We'll go to those last. Pull these out here. Another one I don't have too much to say about. Maybe we'll go this direction here. I've talked about this one before. Layla Starr, The Many Deaths of Layla Starr. Philippe Andrade, pen and ink. It's just a recreation of the first issue, just a pen and ink version. There's a little bit of text at the bottom by the artist Philippe. And honestly, it was cool to see the art. His dialogue didn't really add anything. There was quite a few pages where he ended up talking about the color there was no color in any of this. So he starts talking about like his color choices, and I thought that was kind of unusual. So it's worth it to see the art, no doubt about it. I don't know if it's worth it for the text, really. I didn't find there was too much kind of insight as far as him talking about the process, talking about what he was trying to achieve. There was a couple of tiny nuggets, but I honestly, I think it's nice they wanted to offer something else instead of just doing a pen and ink version of it. I understand the drive to want to add something to that, because I think this was a $6.99 book. But I could have done without it. It would have been just as good. His art is beautiful. I don't know if they're reproducing all of the issues. If they are, I'm not 100% sure I'd jump on every single one. But we'll see. So far, there hasn't been a second issue, and this came out, I don't know, I want to say it came out quite a few weeks ago at this point. But if you can find it for cheap and you're a fan of Layla Starr, go for it. I don't know if it's necessarily something that's essential for considering the price tag on it, but I enjoyed it enough. Bugtown, Matt Howarth. I love it. And I was thinking as I was reading this issue, if there's people that aren't familiar with Matt Howarth and people who want to jump into some Matt Howarth books but don't really know where to start, this would probably be one of those series that's a good place to start. This gives a real good overview of Bugtown itself. It tells a little bit of kind of the inner workings, I guess, or the machinations of this world that he's created. So you get a little bit of that insight. Plus, you get introduced to the characters. The Post brothers are in this as well, and some other characters. I really enjoyed this a lot. Again, I don't want to beat the drum of Matt Howarth too much like I seem to be doing lately, but I'm really in his world. So this was a real nice kind of bonus to it, getting that extra bit of insight. This is from 2004, so this is something that's, considering some of the other stuff we looked at, this is a lot newer than some of that other stuff, even though it's still 19 years old. So a real good one to dive into if you see this. It is a 6-issue mini series. All of the issues did come out. So it's not one of those books where they wanted to do 6 and only 2 came out before the company went bankrupt there. So a great read. I'm still loving my Howarth. Diving into Howarth. One that I read tonight, you saw it listed at number 401 of the 500 comics goal. I'm sort of firing through these because the last few books I have quite a bit more to say about them. This is Icarus number 1 from Cardia Comics, 1992, I think. Yeah, June of 1992. It was originally going to be a 4-issue series. From what I was looking on CLZ as well as my comic shop and a little bit online, I think only 2 issues came out. Cardia Comics had a few titles. This Borderline looks interesting. Just purely based on that cover, it was a one-shot. They also had a comic called The Socketeer, which was a Rocketeer parody with a few short stories on it. That one came out as well too, so I'd be curious to get a hold of that. There's the cover for issue number 2. It's intriguing enough. It's a Superman story, basically. But I do really dig the artwork here. The minimal line work, I think, is really impressive. Yeah, it's a good one, Miss So. The minimal line work is pretty impressive. The thing that usually falls down with some of these indie books is when they try to inject some humor into things. I find that more often than not, it just kind of falls flat. Just tell a serious story. We're with you. We're with you reading the comic book. Don't try to kind of make light of things. Daryl D, how the hell are you, man? Nice to see you. Don't try to make light of things to feel like you need to ease the reader into it. Just be serious. We're good with it. We know that this guy really doesn't have superpowers and that he really can't fly and all these kind of things. So don't worry about it. but the style is really, it's pretty impressive, I gotta say. I really dug it, even in the parts where it was maybe not as polished as some of the other ones. We get a little bit of history off the bat on this character that we have, this Icarus. Um, some stories that have been floating around from him or by him. Our two main characters work for a television news station, and they want to get the exclusive on this Icarus. This is one of his incarnations there, the skull guy. So he appears differently to a few people in this story. And they finally make contact with him and get to do an exclusive interview and first look at him as he kind of addresses the city, telling them, hey, listen, I just want to help. I just want to make things better in our city. And it sort of ends off there. The last panel is Icarus walking into see his parents and saying, I think we have to talk, as he has his mask in his hand of one of his identities there that he was using. Yeah, so I dig it. I'm on the lookout for number 2, just to see how this sort of goes. It's really too bad. And this is one of those things, like I was talking about with Bugtown. This is what can kind of be a bummer about digging back into the past with some of these small publishers. It's unfortunate they didn't get a chance to do the 4 issues. I'd be on board for 4 issues of this. It's not mind-blowing, but it's enjoyable enough that I'd be curious to see where it goes and how they wrap it up. So either way, on the lookout for number 2 of that one. This next one, I got to say, surprised the hell out of me. Yeah, surprised the shit out of me. This is Sylvia of the Rideau. Issue number 1, books 1 and 2. It's a special 48-page introductory offer. Love those graphics on the front. This is a Canadian book. 1991. Montreal, Quebec. Printed in Canada in Windsor, Ontario. Story by John Brinkman and art by Sofia Ferrero. Ferrio? Maybe it's Ferrio. Sorry, one sec. Sorry about that. Just a message. Someone coming to pick something up. Giving a message to my wife upstairs there. Really, really great story. Again, this is another one where there was a little bit of humor injected. And I honestly, this is a book where I'd almost want to do I'd love to do an edit of this to take out those jokes and have it play really straight. It's a hell of a story that mixes kind of this kind of magical realism, I guess, this fantasy elements. There's some sort of monster or creature, but there's this very real world stuff going on here as well too, with this our main character Sylvia, who's kind of going through puberty and discovering a bunch of things and getting hit on by these pervy old men, and she finally runs off and then ends up meeting this like not a minotaur, but I don't know what the hell you'd call it. The hell, like Toot from Hercules there. And she gets turned into a tiger for a bit. And the only way she's going to turn herself back is to have a really good meal and have a really good rest. She ends up making a meal out of some humans and then resting in a tree to turn back into her human form. Hell of a book. This is, again, it's one of those, Gore Vidal had said in a video not too long ago with some of the new indie work I've been showing off here, some of the small press stuff that sort of has this style of these kind of books. And this is one that I could see being done now. Again, being done very, very seriously, though, like jokes aside, and just giving us a real kind of engaging story, to be honest. And the art really drew me in as it went. There's something about the style that makes it feel like you are getting these firsthand accounts from Sylvia herself. And I love these straight on like portrait images of the characters here. This is a phenomenal book. Really, really great book. Like I said, I think when I first got it and did a first flip through of it, I wasn't sure that there was going to be much in it that would appeal to me, but I was 100% wrong. Trying to find a couple of panels here. Yeah, there was some of this stuff in the water here. Here we go. These 2 pages I thought were really well done. Boat capsizes. This guy's trying to make advances on her. She has a knife with her that she got from a character earlier on. She takes it out and is gonna stab him. Changes her mind at the last second and instead cuts her hair off so she can escape. As she escapes, this hand comes over top of the boat and grabs the guy. And then we get her perspective looking back at the boat to see that he's gone. And the last shot is just her in the water now with her cut hair, staring. Incredible pages, honestly. Probably the highlight of the entire book right there. So, and then later on we get Quiet You Fool. What does it say? Quiet You Fool. Basil Craven was not worth any grief. He was a good dancer, but and then in thought balloons, a shit, a bugger, a bastard, an asshole, a son of a bitch, a cad. She decides on a cad. Amazing. That's pretty damn good there. So recommended if you can find this book. Good luck. I know I do this to you, and it sucks, but just keep your eyes open in those bins. It's one that I'm going to keep my eyes open for. If I find doubles, I will absolutely grab them up and offer them up here for the price that I bought them at, or less, depending on what I can find. Really, really great. And again, one that I think could have been done today as a small press book. And we wouldn't, it would have the same impact, I think. By the Numbers, Rouillet and Stanislas, book 1, The Road to Calbang. This is 2 books in one, published by Humanoids and DC Comics back in, let's see, 2004 is when this was put out. I think they did 3 books total. This is kind of the creator himself in the back says this is kind of his version of a Tintin story. And the basic idea, I'll just read right from what he says here. Let's just see. My initial idea was to create a story in French Indochina just after World War II. Only then did I ask myself, who is my hero? At the time I wrote the story, towards the end of the 1980s, many American movies on the Vietnam War were playing across Europe. Platoon, Hamburger Hill, not to mention older films like Apocalypse Now and The Deer Hunter. I was just a little surprised that most French people had forgotten the role we had played there before the Americans. For almost a century, Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos were under French dominion, but it seemed to me that it had all been eased from the French collective memory. So that's kind of where this takes place. It's an accountant who turns into our main character, who goes through all sorts of adventures as he gets wrapped up in this world that takes him to Vietnam, with a bundle of money that he's supposed to give to a sailor. And once that kind of triggers and happens, and he ends up getting robbed, and it just kind of leads him down this spiral of one adventure after the other. He sort of falls into this whole world, and it's such an engaging read. I really like this. Oh, hello. Look at this. By the Numbers has been completed in a full volume by Humanoids. That's fantastic to hear. Thank you very much for that. I will really be looking to grab that. I was so absorbed in this story there's some of these books, another one I'm going to talk about later too. Some of these books, it takes a little bit to sort of get into the world and start to, let our world kind of dissolve as you get into the story. This one didn't take me very long, and I was completely drawn in. I read it in 2 sittings. Just the first book, took a little bit of a break, and then read the second book in this one volume here. But really engaging storytelling, kind of classic European storytelling, classic kind of like a Tintin type adventure, beautiful illustration. The paper that this is on is really nice too, has a little bit of that tooth and texture on it. The colors are beautiful. I loved it. I really, really loved this book. I love when a kind of a main character just kind of gets drawn into, almost like a Hitchcock type of character. You get drawn into this world that you don't really have any say in. You're just there and reacting. There's a lot of kind of Seth type of artistry in here as well, with some of the simplicity of the character design. But again, has that kind of classic European look to it as well too. So fantastic stuff. Highly recommended again. The European stuff for me always kind of sits a little differently. This is one of those highlights for sure. In that same kind of vein, the last couple of books here to talk about, I did finish Wake, the 3 volumes of Wake that I have. I'm not sure how many volumes this went. We spoke about volume 1 a couple of weeks ago, a few weeks ago. I don't remember when it was, but I finished books 2 and 3. Once I kind of I found book 1 a little bit of a struggle to get through, to be honest. But once I did, and once I sort of had an idea of where the story was going and what this world was, these other 2 really picked up. And I got to say that, especially in this second one, the use of colors in this were really beautiful. I'll show you a couple of the transitions. So our main character is on Navi is her name. Our main character is aboard this it's a fleet of ships that's a whole bunch of different alien races. They call it the Wake. It's an enormous fleet, and they're just traveling through the universe, looking at other planets, going and checking out other planets. This is some of the stuff here. So we get some pages that have this almost, it's not quite fleshy, but, this purpley pink kind of tones to them that take up a whole page. And then as we turn it, we're really immersed in that color. And then when we shift scenes, we're shifting to these blues and greens. And I think there's a perfect contrast right there. I think the contrast of those 2 colors works perfectly to kind of give you a feel of what kind of environment you're in with each of those. I love the more that I got into the book, the more I loved the art as well. It does have kind of this animated type of style to it, but some of the poses here I think are really nice. Those little moments of breaking the panel borders and things I think work well. And then in book number 3, this was probably my favorite story out of the 3 that I've read so far. They come across a planet that has humanoid type creatures living on it. So Navi is sent to go and explore because they want to get some samples from the people that are on the planet, and they found some sort of underground lab or something that they want her to investigate to see what it is. She of course takes it on right away. You get the idea in this book that in between these 2 volumes, she's been given a lot of missions to do on behalf of kind of the Wake themselves. She's kind of their go-to when it comes to infiltration and investigation of some of these planets and some of these other races. But this one she absolutely dives into because of the chance that she's going to run into some other humans and kind of get a little bit of a sense of where she's from and that sort of thing. So It's really good. There's sort of a revolution going on the planet. We get the leader of the group talking, saying things like, "We're fed up, High Peer. Behind me weep mothers, men, and girls. They all want to know what's become of children, fathers, fiancés, husbands, or brothers that you've kidnapped from them. We can no longer tolerate your mysterious draft. You're draining the lifeblood of this city's youth. I know you can hear me, so come on out and explain yourself. Or the citizenry will make you pay the consequences of your guilty silence." So we're getting people on the streets. We're getting the politicians, or the high peers that they're called, dispersing the military and telling them to kind of get the hell out of there, obey the orders, or none of you will get the vaccine any longer, which sort of sends people questioning, should we be doing this or not? They end up kind of keep fighting, and they get mowed down by the military. The shift that the book takes when you think that, especially a guy like me, I look at this guy and I'm like, yeah, God damn it, this is a great guy. I'm already sold on the character within the first 3 pages, some of the stuff he's talking about. And just the journey of this character, I think, is really well done. The ideas behind this planet, the ideas of, you sort of get in the head of Navi, who wants these people to be kind of humans, or at least kind of a strain of humans that she's a part of. So she wants them to be a certain way. And as the story unfolds, of course, things aren't as they seem. And I just thought it traveled really nicely throughout this book, and told a really, really great little story here. So this was a highlight. Another one that I would like to, another one I'd like to get. Wake has a total of 7 volumes. 6 and 7 are in one book. Perfect. Thank you very much. Was hemming and hawing on the Wake series. Yeah, I grabbed it as soon as I saw it because it's NBM. This was one of the Minneapolis series that I got. But I wouldn't hesitate, Miss. So if you can find it, if it's cheap, if you can afford it, it's a good read. Like I said, you may have a different reaction to book 1 than I did, but I found this book the most challenging to get through, just because there was quite a lot of information. It starts off kind of nice, but once you start getting into the Wake and these aliens that are coming down and starting to decipher what things mean and who's who, it can be a tiny bit of a slog. But once you get through that one, it really opens up into a pretty damn good series. So 3 books of that so far, and recommended. For the highlight of the night, so I was a board member on a local organization called Film Training Manitoba. I was the co-chair at one time, and then the vice chair at another time. I was on that board for, I don't know, at least probably 5 or 6 years total. I stepped down recently, earlier on this year, and as a nice parting gift, they sent me a beautiful card, and gave me a gift certificate to Amazon, of all places. But I really appreciate the gesture. I had found the final book in the Hollow Grounds series from Francois Scoiton. It was a 3-volume set from Humanoids. It's called No Gigon is what I had found. It ended up not coming. I don't know if it got lost in the mail, if the person was trying to con and didn't actually have it, or what the story was. I did end up getting reimbursed, so everything is fine. I was really disappointed. I've been waiting to get that 3rd volume for so long. So instead, I did some more digging for Scoiton stuff and found The Theory of the Grain of Sand, which is one of the first books that IDW put out from the Obscure Cities series that they've been doing with Scoiton and Peters. I don't know if this is book 1 or if this is book 2. This is a continuation, from what I understand, from The Leaning Girl. I've never read The Leaning Girl, but it's the same character, Mary, I think her name is, from The Leaning Girl, who's in this book. Talk about a creator, or creators rather, that can bring me into a world. This has got to be right up there now with one of the best of this series that I've read. The art is incredible. Each of these pages has kind of a color to it, like a tan color to it. And he does kind of what Piskor has been doing lately with when he wants to draw attention to something, he's not adding that color to it. So I don't know if it's coming across there, but the white of the page is showing through on this what's a bowl of sand, basically, or a bucket of sand. Those white moments kind of they jump out more and more as the series goes on. There's a series of things that are happening to some of the residents of Brussels. Sand is appearing in this woman's house. These rocks are appearing in this guy's house. There's a cook in the same building on the ground floor who's losing weight. He's how did he put it? Lost weight. Oh, really? Don't laugh. I weighed myself on the exact same scale before and after. There's no mistake. And I ate well. Scallops with braised endives, a confit of pheasant with the oven-baked potatoes, some cheese, and a chocolate souffle. And I still lost about a quarter of a pound. So he's eating as he normally would, but he's starting to get lighter and lighter. And he starts to get so light that he starts floating above the ground. He starts hovering over the ground, even though his physical self isn't changing. So all of this stuff is happening, and we have this character who's come to meet a woman who she's been buying jewelry from his tribe. The Bug Tea Warriors is what this group of people is called. So she has been buying stuff. He needs some money for his Bug Tea Warriors. They're in a battle with another group of people over in their lands. He ends up giving her this medallion that he's wearing on his clothing so she can reproduce it. She feels that that's the best way for him to make some money. Doesn't want to part with it. She convinces him that it's the best thing to do. And with that, everything else starts going sideways. I don't want to spoil anything else for you, so I'll just show you some pages. It's an incredible story. The house that the woman lives in, this jewelry lady lives in, is a house that really exists in Brussels, that Schouten and Peters and a group of people had bought and brought it back to its original kind of luster, I guess. And now it's a tourist site. Let's see, what the heck is the house? It's the Horta House. Let's see. Yes, the Horta House. So, Horta would seem to garner a lot of attention. I believe Horta was an architect. I'm looking for his actual name here. Victor Horta. Despite the beautiful white stone facade, it is a modest structure built for Eugene Autrique, an engineer and Masonic brother of Victor Horta. In the body of this legendary Belgian architect's work, this building marks his transition between the classicism of the early days and the Art Nouveau, which he asserted with force in his next project, the Hotel Tassel. So they buy this house and they start to give it a new life. They start to fix it up. It then becomes a historical site, and now they have to fix it up. It's now, which all that means is it's going to be more expensive to fix it up, because now you have to fix it up in accordance with what it originally would have looked like. So it takes them quite a few years. So the fact that there's this fantastical kind of story going on here in the pages, and one of the main buildings actually exists in real life, it's a hell of a journey, this book. Like I said, I love my love for Schouten. I've talked about many times. This Obscure Cities series, IDW has been doing an absolutely killer job on. But I have to say, this is probably one of my favorites out of this so far. It's right up there with Fever and Urbicon for me. But honestly, I like all of the books. I was saying to somebody on Twitter yesterday, if you can't find this one because this one is pricey, I probably wouldn't have bought it if it was my own money. But the fact that it was a wonderful gift card from some really good people, I couldn't say no to it. I think it ended up costing me about $75 Canadian, I think. So good. Yeah, like I said, anything in this series is highly recommended, but this was a really nice surprise. Really makes me want to find the Leaning Girl. Let me have a look in Fever of Urbicon, Fever in Urbicon. They usually have a section on what's been released so far. Let's see here. If they have a listing. It's not looking like it here. Let's look in this one. One of these, I'm sure. Theory of the Grain of Sand. Yeah, the Leaning Girl. So they did do the Leaning Girl. Samaris, Shadow of a Man. I haven't been able to find the IDW Leaning Girl online at all. Not on eBay. Not on Abe Books. I even looked on Abe Books. Nothing there. So I don't know if I'm ever going to get my hands on it. Hello, Sleepy Reader. That's all I want to say about this one, because like I said, with a lot of Scoyton's work, it really does take you on a journey. And I think part of the enjoyment of these books is kind of watching the story unfold and see where it's going to lean to, or take you to, rather, lead you to. And this is no exception, but it's one of the thicker volumes too, probably the biggest out of the series as far as page count goes. We're sitting at well over 100 pages here, plus a bit of backup. But as I say, some gorgeous art, and this use of the white on the page is really, really nice. Again, I don't think that's showing up too well on camera there, but you get a sense of it there. So beautiful, beautiful stuff. That's it. That's all I have for you. That was quick. Thanks very much, everybody, for showing up. Thank you, Mehernosh Tarapor. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Thank you for the information on Wake and By the Numbers. I really appreciate that. I'm going to look into that right after the stream, especially that By the Numbers. I want to read that entire series, so I'll be doing a little dig. So, like I said, no chat this Sunday with Rasa. No Sunday wrap. This is it. We'll see you next week, and take it easy.